Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest developments from the Horn of Africa, where one of the world's deadliest conflicts may be reigniting. Tensions have flared once again in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region, where a 2-year war ended in 2022 with a peace deal. A faction of Tigray's ruling party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, or the TPLF, has seized a town, ousting the interim administration. The forces have taken Adigrat, the second largest city in Tigray. Infighting within the interim government has escalated, with a rival faction ousting the administration appointed by the Ethiopia's federal government in 2022. The TPLF is now divided into two factions, one led by Getachew Reda, the interim regional president, and the other led by the former president, Christian Gomerchel, who is openly hostile to Addis Ababa. Now, his faction accuses the previous leadership of being loyal to Ethiopia's federal government, calling them traitors. Now, as the crisis escalates, the ousted administration has appealed to the federal government for help, warning that a new war may break out. But the internal power struggle in Tigray has stoked fears of a wider war, one that could draw in Eritrea. Now, some Tigray officials warn that the situation could lead to direct conflict with Eritrea. Before delving into Eritrea's role, let's take a quick look at the Tigray conflict. Now, Tigray is Ethiopia's northernmost region. In November of 2020, Ethiopia accused the TPLF of attacking a military base, sparking a full-scale war. Ethiopia, with the support of Eritrea, launched a military offensive against the TPLF. The conflict led to hundreds of thousands of deaths, widespread famine, and human rights abuses. Up to 800,000 people are estimated to have died, making it one of the deadliest conflicts of the 21st century. By 2021, the TPLF had advanced toward Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. However, in 2022, both sides signed the Pretoria Peace Agreement ending the war. But not everyone was happy with the deal. Eritrea, which fought along with Ethiopia, was not invited to the table. Eritrea was part of the Ethiopia until 1991, when it gained independence after a long war. But border disputes continued, leading to repeated clashes. But in 2019, the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed did the unthinkable. He signed a peace agreement with Eritrea, ending 2 decades of hostilities. This historic deal earned him the Nobel Peace Prize. So when war broke out in Tigray, Eritrea sided with Ethiopia, seeking to crush the TPLF, a longtime enemy. However, its role came into the spotlight as its troops occupied strategic cities in Tigray and were accused of brutal war crimes. While Ethiopia wants to integrate Tigray back into the country, Eritrea has a different agenda. It wants to completely destroy the TPLF, which is why Eritrea opposes the peace deal signed in 2022. Now, reports suggest that Eritrean troops have not fully withdrawn from Tigray, despite the agreement's conditions. With ongoing infighting and growing tensions, analysts fear Eritrea could exploit the unrest for its own interests. Now, to understand the Tigray conflict more, we are being joined by Samuel Getachew, a journalist from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
How significant is the recent takeover of a town by a faction of the main regional party? And what does it signal about the stability of that fragile peace agreement between the Ethiopian government and the Tigray authorities?
Well, the Tigray interim leader, Getachew Reda, said today that there's going to be a very likelihood of having another conflict in Tigray, which involves 2 functions within the TPLF, one being his side and the other side being the former president of Tigray, Debretsion who has been saying that the government needs to resign for the TPLF to take over the party. As you may know, or the TPLF expelled the leadership, including the president of Tigray last year, and the president in return he suspended a number of generals or the military wing of the TPLF, which has been going back and forth in terms of accusations. One side saying that the other side is not legit, but the government in Mekelle at the moment is appointed by the Ethiopian government, and the TPLF has no right to really, expel them. So that's where the agreement is going on. But these are two allies who've been waging a war against the Ethiopian government. In the 2-year war, as you said, has killed anywhere from 100,000 to 800,000 people in the last 2-year war that really destroyed the region.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Samuel, there are, of course, growing concerns about alleged external interference, particularly from Eritrea. What role is Eritrea playing in these current tensions, and how might this impact the broader regional security dynamics?
Well, there's a fear that there might be a proxy war between Eritrea taking the side of Debrecen and the Ethiopian government taking the side of Getachew Reda. There's a fear that the war could be extended to Eritrea, really becoming a regional war instead of an Ethiopian war. The last war affected thousands of people, displaced millions of people, and there's fear that, and so many people left from Tigray to neighboring countries looking for some kind of refuge. So there's fear that's going on. But the Ethiopian government hasn't said anything so far. But there seems to be no compromise between the two sides, and that worries a majority of Tigrayans who've been seeing conflicts for the last 4 years in the region of Tigray.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Samuel, for being with us and for your valued insights on all the latest coming out of Eritrea.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Namaste, Mr. President.
Bharat Kelogon, Komeri Namaste.
How many people generally follow you in interviews?
Typically in a month we have viewers up to 150 million, that's more than twice the population of France. And in the last 2 years we had 3 billion viewers. So I say, Laurent, this is your chance to be famous. You're on Firstpost. One word to describe your equation with Prime Minister Modi.
Amitié.
As India and France work together, are you creating a new era of non-alignment in the technology space?
India is a training superpower. 1 million engineers a year, more than all of Europe and the US combined. So we have that partnership. We have a partnership on the environment and the economy. We also have civilian nuclear programs, and that is something we've developed far beyond the France-India relationship. So we want to work together on AI.
And then comes China with its DeepSeek, creating models at a fraction of the cost. Did that innovation take you by surprise? Did that breakthrough make you sit up and think, what did the Chinese do and how?
But what did DeepSeek do? They took everything that was already available from the last AI model, and then they recalibrated it.
So are you going to ban Chinese AI in France?
So we don't have this American approach of banning tech because of where it comes from.